So I thought of a new idea and another character, and it might be, I don't know, maybe it's too much. Maybe I'm thinking too much of the character, or maybe just from the patterns for this game. But I think I want to just get into this right now first by talking about, before we talk about the brand new character, who I think the new character is. I'm not sure if it's accurate. It could be just thrown in there just for a little design purposes and whatnot. But I think it's safe to say that crossplay is getting delayed, and I'm not sure if it's going to be this month. It's safe to say that now because we got our new March update from yesterday, and when I was streaming the game, I didn't expect a new update to drop the same day that I was streaming, so I was able to play it all into one and do character requests. We guys play a little bit online, meet some new people. It was so much fun. We just playing different variety of characters and then trying out the new features. Let's show y'all. Just to play catch up. This is the March update, and this is the see what you see on the screen right now is the reason why I think crossplay is getting delayed. Now I'm just gonna go as far as saying maybe just a little prediction. I think it's probably gonna come out in April now, maybe late April, because April is considered late quarter one or Q1 of 2022, and it was originally announced that it was going to be out around this time, basically, because March is the first quarter or Q1 for this new year, and it's been a while since we had some kind of update. So we got our update yesterday and another new feature. But it looks like I was off because I thought a new character would be coming out with a new feature just similar to how they came out with Shredder. So let's kick it back before we start reading these and get into this. Shredder came out in February, see, and I'm still lost as to why this says January when February was the release month. This past February was when Shredder came out with the brand new feature of controller remapping and being able to adjust your control scheme and change up your button inputs the way you see fit and to feel comfortable of how you play whatever character that you like to play or whatever platform that you play this game on. You can be able to change you're not able to assign two inputs into the same action just as you can see on the screen. But Shredder came out last month. So I thought this month maybe we'll get a new character along with crossplay, but it looks like we're not getting that new character. So we'll probably get a new character maybe in April, and then maybe around going towards the summer, maybe we'll possibly get closer to crossplay. But maybe crossplay could come out around April. But just look at this. It's been all different types of patches included with a character or maybe someone along with a brand new feature and a new stage to come out with that particular character. So I thought we were gonna get somebody this month and to be able to come out and be able to play crossplay this month. But now I think it's gonna be coming out maybe later on in the year, late April possibly at the max for a potential release window. But we'll see and just go from there. But just for a quick little recap, just in case some people missed it, this is the March update. CPU versus CPU, I got to try out yesterday, and now you can be trading with two players. So if you want to just play with a friend or someone who comes over, want to hang out and play a little bit of Nickelodeon, you guys can play trading and just go up against each other, have some fun that way. Character selection, I think this is one of my favorite features in the game from this brand new update that they dropped yesterday. Is now that the characters will be saved, and you don't have to keep on picking the same character over and over when you make an adjustment. So, oh well, I forgot to put stats on. Now you gotta pick the characters all over again, or you forgot to set a timer for the match, or set it to a sports mode. If you like playing the sports mode, that's very unique in this game, different from Super Smash Bros. And other games. You could put that on, but then you still have to change the characters all over again. So I got to test out these little updates and different features and do CPU versus CPU. It was so much fun. Leonardo versus Michelangelo. The Avatar showdown. Who's the real Avatar with Aang taking on Korra, for example. Monster showdown with Reptar and Ablina going at it. See, just different things. It's so much fun, and I'm glad that they added it. So you just be able to try to predict and let you guys pick. I let you guys pick the different characters who you want to see battle it out and see who wins on the live stream from yesterday. So I had so much fun with that. So I'm glad that they added these different features. So unfortunately, no character. But this is what I want to get into. Look at the picture. It shows Gary. Why is Gary on the screen out of nowhere? And just take a look. Let's kick it back now. See, this is what really got me a little started and just wanting to create a character idea. So we're going to talk about Gary. for this particular video. And share my little ideas of what I came up with. I came up with stages, moveset, everything that you could possibly imagine. Just take a look at the pictures. Look, the silver hat, Garfield, he was the first DLC, and he's featured in the picture, in the icon. Now we have Shredder. We just recently had Shredder from this past February. He's in the picture now. Now, here we are in March. Why is Gary on the screen? Is that a potential teaser? Maybe I'm thinking too much about it. I don't know what you guys think about it. And I was sharing this yesterday and talking about it on the live. It's like, out of all characters, why is Gary featured in this March update? Could that mean he could be the next fighter that they're working on? Maybe he's coming out in April. Maybe he's coming out later on this month. But I don't think there's not going to be any other updates this month, because this update in particular is not a universal update. And when I say that, that means not every platform has the same update. The Nintendo Switch does not have the March update yet. So they still have to implement that and work on that to have that ready to be released at some point. But it's not out yet. So this particular patch that they dropped yesterday is not available on Nintendo Switch if you play this game on your Nintendo Switch. You only can have access to this new feature with CPU versus CPU, all the patches and bug fixes and adjustments to the online experience. I even got to try that out. That was super fun too. But they still have some things to fix here and there. But it's going to be a few days, or maybe like a week or so, or more, maybe possibly if there's no delays, of course, with the March update for Nintendo Switch players. So that's how I knew that Crossplay wasn't going to come out. But you see, Gary being featured, out of all characters, they picked Gary. So that's why I thought maybe he's going to be added into the game at some point. And I came up with my own ideas of how he could be implemented. So let's just get into the game. Let's just bring up a roster and go to training. Let's do SpongeBob and Patrick. And little did I know, finding out that Gary is the cousin of Patrick. I didn't even know they were related. They're actually related by some chance. I don't know if anyone out there, and I've been watching SpongeBob ever since the beginning, ever since it first aired. Of course, I haven't seen every single episode, all the latest recent episodes that they came out. If they have new episodes still being aired on the TV channels and all. I've seen some of the movies. I love playing the video games, Battle for Bikini Bottom and more. But just like, who knew that Patrick was related to Gary? That's his cousin. They're cousins by some chance. So I ended up finding that out. So let's put the. I was gonna do their skins, just show them, so just like y'all can see. We'll just keep their regular outfits for this video. So we're gonna talk about Gary the Snail, a new fighter, potential DLC, character ideas. So we're gonna share. So we got 3 SpongeBob characters. We got SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy, as you saw from the roster. What if Gary is a character, but he's featured in this particular stage? We're gonna get ready to go there in a few seconds. You got Flying Dutchman ship, and then you got the Glove World. 3 stages from SpongeBob. But now, it says here, he's actually featured in the stage, and we get a glimpse of what he can look like. See, he's right there. Watch. See, he's right below. He's headed towards SpongeBob now. So we're probably not gonna really be moving too much throughout this discussion. We're talking about the moves that I came up with, and everything that I came up with is gonna be in the description. So just because you guys don't want to watch the full video or just be able to hear me talk about the character and yap on. But see, look, see him right there. That's exactly how he's gonna look if he's in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, and it's the perfect stage to go to, and he's featured. Of course, he's gonna be able to move faster than that, because look, every character that you use has their own movement speed. Just wanted to do that just to play. But we're gonna get into the stages. This is part of Bikini Bottom. This particular stage is part of Bikini Bottom. They got 3 stages, 3 characters, and Snail Park is from the TV show. So I came up with that as an idea that can be implemented as the perfect stage. It's the perfect stage for him, and it's where snails would go. SpongeBob took Gary to the Snail Park from the show, and he ended up meeting another particular character. But that's gonna tie into one of the alternate costumes and many more that I came up with for Gary the Snail. So Snail Park is just one of the first ever stages that I came up, and I think this is more ideal for him because it's Snail Park. It's the place for snails, and you can hang out, and we'll be able to fight Gary and just be able to head into Snail Park as a great stage for him. But some other ones I came up with, he lives with SpongeBob. Gary is a snail. He can't really communicate. He just meow meow meow. Just all he does in the in the show to communicate. But he lives with SpongeBob in the Pineapple House. So I came up with that as another stage. So why not be able to fight inside SpongeBob's house, and they can take from the SpongeBob games to get a glimpse of how they want to design the stage for the inside of SpongeBob's house from Battle for Bikini Bottom, because you actually go in there and you start the game there, and you be able to just get different places, different rooms that you can go into and be able to explore his household and be able to move around. So that can be some kind of designer idea of what they can take from as a stage. If they wanted to get SpongeBob's house and battle inside the pineapple, they can call it Pineapple House, something like that, SpongeBob's house. And then if they can't get either one of the snail part or it's just his house in general, why not be able to fight outside of Bikini Bottom and fight outside of the house where his neighbors. And you see, we got Patrick. He's one of his neighbors, but he lives next to Squidward, and then followed by Squidward. So we wouldn't be able to fight outside of Bikini Bottom, and that could be a stage that can come out with Gary. 3 different stages for him as a DLC. If they ever come out with a stage, because it doesn't even have to be a SpongeBob stage. It could be a different stage with him if they do implement him into this game for DLC. Now it's time for the alternate costumes. So I selected Gary wearing the costume. Gary wearing a crown. That'll be a quick little customization, a quick skin or quick alternate for the developers. Just slap a crown right on top of his, put a crown right on top of his shell that you originally wore in one of the episodes called Rule of Dumb episode. And in this particular episode, you find out that Gary is related to Patrick. And I didn't even know. I never even seen this episode. So that was brand new to me. So I ended up finding more about him and getting to know him as a character and how he's related to Patrick, just from his family tree and just all these different creatures that he's related to. And Rule of Dumb episode is just where he gets the crown. So that could be a quick alternate costume. And if they want to expand, I came up with some other ideas from doing some research and finding out. I remember Larry the Snail. He's a sibling. Even though he's a sibling, I still think it'd be cool to see him as a different character for a paid DLC, and many more 2 other characters that I end up seeing throughout the episodes. So Larry's a sibling, but let's reference it again. See how Super Smash Bros. Had the Kooplings? You had Wendy, who's a female, and then the other Kooplings are male. They can implement these other characters as different skin variations for paid DLC, so he or she can purchase the skin that they want the most individually. If they want them all, they can just buy them all in one package on the shop or something like that for Gary. So Larry, I came up with Larry the Snail cosmetic from the show, and just like I said, he's a sibling, but he appeared in the Dumped episode when Gary abandoned, or definitely, I don't want to say abandoned, I don't want to just go as much as that, but Gary ended up leaving SpongeBob for Patrick, but he was only following Patrick around because he had that cookie in his pants. Okay, but that was the little episode for that, for the Dumped episode for Larry. So he ended up getting Larry the Snail. That's a sibling, but they can get that skin. He was a little bit of a darker green and a little bit more. He had a darker green and he had darker eyebrows, so that you guys will be able to see. And I'm sure most of you remember Larry the Snail that he had temporarily in the episodes from the show. He had some other encounters. Gary ended up meeting other different snails. I came up with, I selected Snellie and Mary. Snellie is from the Great Snail Race when Squidward, I think he had Snellie, or was it somebody else, if I'm not mistaken, from the episode. The Great Snail Race episode I referenced and found and discovered Snellie. And it was the snail race competition, almost like the Olympics or something like that, but for snails. But Snellie was a snail that he really liked in the show, and going towards the end, he really liked and was attracted to. So, and also another character that he liked was Mary in the Gary and Love episode. I did some research on. So those are three different skins. You got Larry, Snellie, and Mary as alternate costumes, and they can be paid DLC. So the player can pick and choose whichever skin that they want to wear and want to make the purchase for those particular costumes. So I don't know what you guys think of those, but and then if they can't, just like I said with the cosmetics, outside of those, they can just put the crown on him for a quick and much easier task for him to get an alternate costume to put on his shell. So just like his taunts, just like I explained, he can't really talk. Gary can never really communicate in the show. He was just saying meow, meow. But that's how he communicates in the show, and then somehow SpongeBob is able to understand him and just his language. But that could be a quick taunt. See, he just does that. It can just be a quick taunt. It's quick and easy, and it's safe. But just to expand, I didn't want that to just be the one individual taunt, so I did more digging. And I remember that he was saying he did more in the episode. So I came up with Gary poetry, which he performed on the stage in the show in the episode called Culture Shock. So he had a stage performance and he did Gary poetry. Of course, he was just doing meows. He was meowing the whole time. But Sandy liked it. Sandy enjoyed it, and the audience enjoyed it for the talent show for the Culture Shock episode. So that could be something that he could do for an even more expanded taunt for the player. So you got two different taunts. And if it's not, Gary poetry he can do Gary poetry when he gets the dub, when he gets as a winning animation. I think that'll be awesome to see. Gary poetry, and he has a little they can put a little quick microphone in front of him. If not, they can just have him just meowing on the screen for as long as he stays on in the winner circle for the winning animation when he wins a match or something like that. That'll be really cool, and I think players would really like to see that for him, for fans of the SpongeBob universe. So I came up with that as a different expanded taunt that could be something, and it can be held down. So the longer the player holds the taunt button down, whichever it is on the platform that they play, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Switch, he can just perform Gary poetry as a unique expanded taunt. Or if not, it can be a winning animation. But one more, I ended up finding something else out. He liked he had a favorite toy in Gary's new toy episode. He was chewing his favorite red ball. He was obsessed with it, and he didn't really care about anything else but that toy. So that could be something that he could do as yet another taunt. But I can see it as I can see it more of as a winning animation. So he can be chewing his favorite red ball or Gary's favorite toy as a little animation. But now, those are the taunts, the animations, the costumes, and we talked about the stages. And now, it was a little bit difficult trying to come up with some moveset for him because he's a snail. How is he going to be able to fight? How is he going to be able to commit any sort of offense? Who knows? It's just fun. Just doing it. But it just who knows how he's gonna be able to fight. But I came up with a lot of ideas, and I referenced the Once Bitten episode where he became a very aggressive snail, and he was a grouchy snail. He was just would bite everything inside. He even bit Squidward. He bit him on his butt. But Gary he bit Squidward, and he had Grouchy Snailitis, which is a disease. It was classified as a mad snail disease. So that could be the source of his aggressiveness. That could be the source of his offense to open up the doors of his moveset. So I came up with that. So he can have a Grouchy Snail Bite and bite the opponent, similar to how he bit Squidward in the episode Once Bitten. So I came up with that as a nice little reference for you guys for his moveset. But we're going to get into some other ones. he could use his eyes. He used his eyes for several episodes. He was able to use his eyes for different moves and different things that he can do with them. He can even stretch his eyes, and even see him press a button with his eyes, right, stretching it across the screen for places that he couldn't reach. He could stretch his eye. So I thought I came up with it might be sound a little silly and goofy, but I just came up with a move with his eyes called Eyesore. So he can use his eyes to attack. And just like I said, he was able to stretch his eyes, his individual eyes from the show, to be able to do certain things. And you can even play music with them by, you know, them clashing against each other with his two eyes. I think when they was doing it, when he was creating music, when SpongeBob was creating that music, stuff like that, Gary was actually using his eyes to create music, some kind of rhythmic tone or rhythmic melody of some sort. So why not be able to have his eyes be able to attack, not even just biting people viciously and going crazy and being super grouchy, and being the mad snail that he is on the lowest of keys. He can use his eyes to inflict some offense. And then another move, a Snail Kick. He can have his own little Snail Kick as a little strong attack. See how SpongeBob uses the jellyfish in that? It could be a ground move. Or maybe it could be a running attack. Something like that. I was probably saying, wow! But I came up with that. And the Snail Kick, I came up with it because he used it when SpongeBob was trying to feed him, and Gary wasn't hungry. It's like he was trying to force him. He was trying to force the food onto Gary, and Gary got really upset, and he kicked the food right in SpongeBob's face. So that can be another move that he can use as a little strong attack, a Snail Kick to launch the opponent. See how he kicked it? He kicked it so hard, he just splashed it all over his face. He had food all over him. So that could be something that he can use. And Gary creates slime. So I came up with that with another unique moveset for him. Have him just chill right here for a second. So Gary creates slime. So that could be something that could be utilized for a unique move. It can detriment the opponent. If they make contact with the slime, they'll be able to slow down. They won't be as fast, or they can be tripping, stumbling, leaving the opponent. It can make them slip and fall. It can slow them down. Two negative effects against the opponent to have them jump over the slime to avoid the slime trail. The slime trail can remain on the field. This could be perfect. You play on jellyfish fields, it's not much room where you can go. Where he can have a good large trail of slime where the opponent will be forced to a double jump and avoid it, or just stay out of its way in general to avoid it, so they don't have a slowly decrease in speed when they're trying to move around and get some offense and attack the opponent. They're going to have to watch out for the snail trail, that slime trail created by Gary, and then also keep an eye out on what he's doing for his next offense. So it'll really keep them guessing, while also trying to watch the ground and keep an eye on the ground. And if you step in it, it can really leave them wide open. You just it can open doors for knock them out and be able to eliminate them. So I thought this could create some kind of trail of slime on the field to slow the enemy down and have them stumble to leave the opponent wide open for attack. So I think this will really be a unique move that they can probably utilize for him, similar to how Zim uses Gur, and he can be able to command them in stationary. I think this would be something like he can really set up the opponent for a trap and just to complete it. A nice little trap move for him for his slime trail. See how he's moving? He can probably do something like that. It'll be very unique, I think. And a snail stomp, because he did a little stomp in the episode. That could be his down move. When he's in midair, he come right down and just stomp the opponent. So see how it's funny, because the animation for his snail stomp is Patrick in being featured in this matchup. Similar to how he does that little diving ice cream cone attack, it can be something just as fast as that, but of course it's just a snail stomp, so he can just land right on top of you and launch you. And then a final move, Gary has a shell, so why not have him utilize his shell as some kind of defensive protection? So I call this shell protection or something like that, or snail protection, where Gary can hide away in his big shell for a limited amount of time to absorb attacks, or maybe avoid massive damage from projectiles and physical attacks, something like that. So he can take less damage and be protected against physical attacks. I don't know if this sounds overpowered or not, but just something to utilize. He can have something on his body and use his body as a moveset. So the shell is just not just for looks; it's for defensive protection. So he'll be able to take more hits. He can absorb massive damage from physical attacks, and then he can be able to nullify projectiles for a limited amount of time, and then he'll eventually have to come out. So the player can't stay in there, can't stay and keep the shell active. So it can be like a unique block or unique guarding move. See his little pose? I like these poses that when they block and posing. But the player won't be able to really stay in there, so they won't be able to keep on spamming it over and over. So if it's that balance, they'll be eventually forced to come out of the shell to be able to, or he can't hide anymore. It'll go on a cooldown period. It can have its own little cooldown period where the player can't use it constantly over and over. So that way it's balanced, and it'll be a great move for Gary for his shell. So it's not just for looks, it's also for his protection as well against the enemy. So that's what I came up with for his moveset. I'm curious to see what you guys think about this, and I'm not sure. Let's just go back. As it I usually keep it on the screen, just a little something different today. But just again, why is he on the screen for the featured character? Could it be another? Even if it's not Gary, let's just wrap it up right with this. I really enjoyed making this moveset, and it was fun. And just like everything I mentioned is going to be in the description for you guys to take a look at, and you guys can reference it if you want to, and be able to discuss it in the comments if you like, and share your feedback. But even if it's not Gary, could that mean that it's another SpongeBob character, like Mr. Krabs, Squidward, Plankton, or somebody like that? It could be Mr. Krabs or somebody from the SpongeBob universe that's going to be added into this game. You got the trio with SpongeBob, Sandy, and Patrick. Could this mean that the next character could be a SpongeBob character, even if it's not Gary, the snail? It could be anybody. But that's why I just thought it was a little bit weird, and just something like some kind of coincidence. Look, Garfield, just again, Garfield on the screen, and then they have Shredder, and then out of all characters, they pick Gary. That's somebody that's not in the game. There's someone, it's gotta be somebody from the SpongeBob universe. Just a guess. So I'm curious to see what you guys think. It must be somebody from that particular show.